Hey, this might be one of our most momentous occasions in the almost 3 years that I've been here. It is a wonderful honor. You guys are well aware. Two of our famous alums are Lincoln Díaz-Balart and his brother Jose Díaz-Balart, who's with us today. In fact, I want to make some quick introductions. We have the Speaker of the House, Danny Perez. Danny called Lincoln, even from the dais at the beginning of this year's session, one of his greatest mentors. So I always tell people, if you got money in the budget or you got a bill passed that you really liked, that was Lincoln. It had nothing to do with Danny. Jose Díaz-Balart, also an alum, is here with us today, and world-renowned, all the big MSNBC, Univision anchor, so it's great to have you back on campus. And then we're just super honored to have Lincoln's wife, Christina, and his son, Danny, with us today. So we're going to have the Speaker of the House speak. Then we're going to have another one of our alums, best friend and godfather to Danny, one of his Lincoln's best friends, Bob Allen, speak. And then we'll close with Danny and Jose. And then we'll have the unveiling of the park. But the whole concept in talking to Bob Allen, who's obviously dear friends with Lincoln, he devoted his life to fighting for freedom. And he was just a giant, not just at New College, but in the whole state of Florida and the nation. And so we thought it fitting to build this beautiful park. This was literally a sand lot 2 years ago, and we built this beautiful park. And Bob thought, let's dedicate it to Lincoln. And we really, really were hoping that we could get Lincoln here. It just didn't work out, unfortunately, but we wanted him to see it. But I know he's seeing it anyway. But it's, just another emblematic reminder that universities should be about a marketplace of ideas, great debate, and free speech and academic freedom, and all done in a wonderful civil discourse. And so we couldn't be more honored to, and on behalf of the trustees who are here, name the park after Congressman Díaz-Balart. But with that, please welcome the Speaker of the House, Danny Perez.
Thank you, President Corcoran. Today's a meaningful moment for New College and for our state as we come together to honor a leader whose life's work reflects courage, conviction, and an unwavering commitment to freedom, as the President said. Lincoln Díaz-Balart is a distinguished public servant. He was one who began his legislative career in the Florida House of Representatives before serving in U.S. Congress. He has been one of the most powerful voices in America's time for the cause of Cuban freedom, advocating tirelessly for those suffering under oppression and for the hope of one day having a free Cuba. Renaming this park ensures that future generations of students will know and reflect on a legacy rooted in principle and courage. This dedication affirms New College's commitment to celebrating leaders who embodied the values of democracy, liberty, and service. I want to also recognize President Richard Corcoran, a former Speaker of the Florida House, a leader, a visionary leader for New College. Thank you, President Corcoran, for your commitment to elevating this institution, for your bold leadership, and for ensuring New College continues to thrive. It is fitting that a student gathering place now carries the name of a man who spent his life fighting for freedom, both here in Florida and on behalf of the Cuban people. Lincoln's journey reminds students that public service is a noble calling, and that courage and conviction can shape history. Lincoln was a man that spoke with purpose, a man that we all looked up to in Miami and in the Cuban community, and as the President said, a mentor to me. Whenever I had an idea, usually the bad ideas, I would call Lincoln. and Lincoln would give his sound advice, there was one time specifically that I called him with a bad idea, and he said, "This is the worst idea you've ever called me." I did it anyway. It was a terrible decision. And when the outcome of my terrible decision was made public, I called him, and I said, "You were right. I made a terrible mistake. I shouldn't have done it." And I think when most people in that situation would say, "I told you so," his was more of a nurturing response on how we can fix it moving forward. And that's just the kind of guy he was. He knew that we were all imperfectly trying to be perfect, acknowledged who we were, accepted us as we are, but came with the purest intent. And unfortunately, people like that don't exist in today's world. May Lincoln Díaz-Balart Park stand as a symbol of Florida's commitment to freedom, democracy, and the hope of one day having a free Cuba. I congratulate New College President Corcoran and the Díaz-Balart family that I love dearly on this meaningful dedication. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you all for coming. I had the privilege of meeting Lincoln the first week I was at New College. From the moment that I met him, the freedom of the people of Cuba was foremost in his mind. We spent many years together, practicing law together, working on political campaigns, including his own, which I worked on sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning in Little Havana. We spent a lot of time together. And that principle of freedom was the constant, the absolute constant in his life. And he didn't live to see the freedom of Cuba. But he left a legacy. The legacy is the responsibility that we all have to support the value of freedom. Freedom in the society that we live in, freedom in the institutions that we're part of, freedom in America, and freedom in the world. And it's a real coincidence, not in an accidental sense, but a coincidence of values that Lincoln came to school at New College. New College was, is, will be a place of freedom. There may be discussions motivated by political agendas that we don't need to be a part of. This is about a place where you can come and study what you want, and if it's not in the syllabus, meet with a professor, and you make the course, and you discuss with the professor what courses you're going to take that semester and how many you're going to pass, and what your senior thesis is about. And his senior thesis was a course that he taught, Modern Cuban History. I was a student in his class, as was our faculty advisor, Dr. Margaret Bates, one of the leading authorities in the world on, she happened to be a specialist in East Africa, but I studied modern Chinese history, so did Lincoln, modern history of India, anything you can imagine, and we studied with her here at this place dedicated to freedom. Don't be mistaken, don't be taken in by these political discussions. They have nothing to do with what we're doing here. So I met Lincoln the first week I was here, and I had a conversation with him that lasted about 3 hours. And then I had the privilege, divinely ordained, to be with him when he received his last rites. Every once in a while I got to see Lincoln, not enough when he got sick. But it was a Tuesday, and I said, can I come over? The priest was going to be there. I thought it was a visit. It was his last rites. And Lincoln and I, that day, we went back to New College. And we spoke for about 3 hours about freedom, about how it could be manifest in society in turbulent times. It was an incredible blessing, a divine blessing, to be able to spend those times, like when we were here, like when I would hang out with Jose, and we'd talk about all these things that now you're living, Speaker Perez. Now you're living. And he left about 4 days later. And Friday, we had breakfast, didn't wake up after his nap. It reminded me of that responsibility that we have. We live only a limited amount of time. Why are we here? To be free. To be free. So thank you to the trustees, the chairwoman of the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees, Lance. Thank you to Richard Corcoran for assuming the responsibility of leading this institution in an incredibly turbulent time. And thank you for being committed to the cause of freedom.
Good morning. It's a tremendous honor to be with you all here in this beautiful setting, celebrating this very, very special day for me and my family. What an incredible turnout. You truly honor us with your presence, with your friendship, with your support, and everything you do for this institution, which means so much to us. I have to start by thanking President Corcoran for this unbelievable gesture. Truly don't have the words looking around here, knowing that this is a place where I'm going to be able to bring my kids soon. Lincoln is 7, Edwin is 5. Wait until they get to see the park that has their grandfather and my son's Lincoln's name on it. You may need to put new grass here soon. They're going to be running around so much. But this is just unbelievable to the trustees. Thank you so much. Truly cannot thank you enough for this incredible gesture. I have to thank my dear friend, Speaker Danny Perez, for coming down here in the middle of a committee week. As busy as can be up there, and he made an exception to come down here and be with us for this incredible occasion. I admire you so much. I'm so grateful for your friendship. My father admired you so much. He was so proud to know that you were carrying the torch that he carried for 24 years of public service. And so thank you for being here, Danny. Thank you for your leadership. You honor us with your presence today. And Bob Allen, as he mentioned, met my father here. They were roommates for a period of time here during their days as students, and developed such a close friendship that he became my godfather. And he's an amazing man, somebody who I admire so much, somebody who I lean on constantly for advice. I'm so blessed to continue to have you in my life, Bob. I know that you put a lot of work into this institution and to this day, so cannot thank you enough. This is just such an unbelievable and touching gesture. My entire life, I've been hearing about this institution. I've always known what it meant for my father. As a young boy, rebuilding a life in exile meant that his young life was tumultuous. My dad and Jose and their family moved around a lot. My grandfather was, rebuilding a life and looking for opportunities in different places, and so that meant, they were here in the United States, and then they'd be in Spain, and then they'd be back here, and then back in Spain. My father finally found some stability in high school. He went to the American School of Madrid, all 4 years of high school, which was a change because in his 7th and 8th grade years, he went to 5 different schools in just those 2 years alone. But thankfully, family moved back to Spain for for high school, and there a couple of pretty important things happened. Most importantly, he met a young Cuban girl who was also studying at the American School of Madrid, and they would go on to get married and enjoy a 48-year marriage, and they were together 55 years. It's my mom, Christina, so obviously. That was the most important thing that my father had happen to him during his time at the American School of Madrid. She was always by his side, his biggest supporter, his mentor, and the most amazing mom ever. But another important thing happened at the American School of Madrid. My dad had a friend named Jim Munson who told him about a small liberal arts college in Sarasota, Florida, where my father had never visited, called New College. And Jim told my dad, "Hey, I think you'd like it there. You should consider going." And my dad trusted his friend. He applied. He managed to get in, and this paradise became his home. And this institution was fundamental in his formation as a leader. His experiences here in New College would shape his life forever. Just a few years ago, he recorded a video where he described the New College as academic rigor with freedom and diversity of thought. New College's approach to education was perfect for someone like my father. He was endlessly curious, independent in his thinking, and as Bob and the speaker mentioned, uniquely motivated in his desire to see freedom return to his native Cuba. And despite being the only Cuban American here on campus, and despite what surely were profound ideological differences with students and professors alike, New College's overwhelming respect for diversity of thought allowed my father to thrive here. Nothing better exemplifies that true dedication to diversity of thought than the fact that my father became student body president his senior year while he was here at New College. Lincoln was an advocate for respect for the opposition and respect for diversity of thought for the rest of his days, something critical for a healthy democracy and the preservation of freedom. Diversity of thought would go on to become a founding principle of the nonprofit he created while he was in Congress called the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute, which still does great work today, offering internships to Hispanics in the United States in a congressional office and Fortune 500 companies. Profound dedication to diversity of thought. That's something that he learned here. Finally, I'll leave you with a quote from Lincoln from October of 1974. While he was a student here at New College, he told the Sarasota Herald Tribune, quote, "We who are free in exile must lead the struggle for freedom for our brothers and sisters in Cuba." Lincoln never stopped fighting for freedom in Cuba. He never stopped fighting to protect it here in the United States. Let us never take it for granted, and may this park be a reminder to all who visit just how lucky we are to live in freedom in these great United States. Thank you all so much.
Good morning, President Cochran, trustees, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be back. I've been sharing some thoughts with our dear brother, Bob Allen. I came to New College because Lincoln had come to New College, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps in any way I could. And 40 plus years ago, I spent day after day in what was the library and walking through here and looking at the bay. And I actually taped a concert by a student. That was his thesis, his graduating thesis. He held a concert at that location right there. I recorded it for him as a thesis. And when we talk about freedom in New College, has always been about freedom. I created a number of courses, independent study projects, along with my professor. I remember a course. Where can you take a class about Spain, the transition between dictatorship and democracy, 1974, 1975? It didn't exist here either. But we created it. And my professor, Peggy Bates, and I both learned at the same time. We created our own bibliography, and we created our own syllabus, and we created our own concepts, and we both learned together, and that's what this institution is. And Lincoln had the mind of an intellectual and the heart of a public servant, and both of those skills were sharpened here in New College. We had far different experiences in New College, he and I, because he was like serious from, I think, the moment he was born. He was a student from the minute he was born. I told him some days before he passed, I said, the difference between you and anybody else is that you've been aware, learning, and thinking since you were born. It took us years to be able to come to realizations, but no, you did from day one, which is really weird. But he had this extraordinary memory, capacity to learn, and capacity to utilize what he had learned for the common good. That was honed here, and only here could he have experienced what he did. Only here could I have experienced what I did. I came in far less prepared than he did. And I came out of here far more prepared than I could have anywhere else. We shared, however, that bond of going to a place where we were free, even free to disagree, dogmatically disagree, and yet free from repression, intellectual and otherwise. And boy, how he loved New College, and how he loved Freedom Park. And we talked about it a lot his last couple of days, how much he wanted to be here, and he is here, and how he wanted people who he loved and who he had learned from and who he had mentored to be here, but also people who disagreed with him and everything to be here as well. And what a beautiful recognition of freedom. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Bob Allen and I were remembering yesterday how, for me, the experience was different in New College. How, Bob, when you were a trustee here, you had already graduated, we went to a Halloween PCP in Palm Court. I came, you remembered, which is, I came dressed as a shower. One of my best costumes. I'll be happy to tell you how I achieved that. It was a good shower. Yes. I danced the night away under a spritzer and a shower curtain. But the fact that freedom to be, to think, to care as much as you wanted to, is, I think, the leitmotif of New College. It's the leitmotif of Lincoln Díaz-Balart. And it is a deep privilege to be here in his name, celebrating along with him an extraordinary honor. Thank you.
Amazing remarks. I did, now you know that Lincoln Díaz-Balart was the president of the student body, and you also know that Jose Díaz-Balart was the president of the partiers. Before we walk over, I do want to recognize it's always an honor to have some of our dignitaries, but we have County Commissioner Mike Braun, we have former Senate President Bill Galvano, and we have Senator Darrell Roussan, and we have Dana from Congressman Judy's office. So thank you for joining us.